Hey everybody, it's Jim here. The guitar I'm holding and that we're going to be going over today is part of Fender Japan's highest tier of production models outside of a few signature guitars. It's the Fender Heritage Jazzmaster. I have not seen anybody do a deep dive on one of these in English, so to me, I feel like I can be doing a service to those of you who know about this model and are perhaps interested in knowing a bit more in detail about it, and if you're not familiar with it, perhaps putting it onto your radar because man, this is a fantastic guitar. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. We're going to start off by putting this onto the bench where we're doing an overview, taking the strings off, checking out what's under the hood, under the pickguard, then taking some measurements of the neck before we give it our playthrough. Let's get started. The first thing that's pretty unique about this guitar is the choice of body wood. They actually use ash on this particular finish, and you can see the grain coming through on the paint. It's really, really lovely in person. However, not all of the Heritage Jazzmasters have ash as the default wood. For example, there's a Fender Special run for the model year 2023 Sonic Blue with the matching head cap that came with an alder body, and the same thing goes for the ones that went to the flagship store, albeit that was a black finish with a black matching headstock on it. Do have your vintage style bridge here, which some people absolutely love, some people absolutely hate. I'm kind of in the middle on that. Traditional rhythm circuit, three-way toggle switch, one volume, one tone, output jack, and a Japanese made vibrato unit. Let's get the strings off and see what's under the gold anodized pickguard. Real deal, 1 meg CTS pots, really nice wiring here for the rhythm circuit, all cloth wires, switchcraft component for the switch and the output jack. Super cool. Let's go ahead and put these down for a second, and I'm going to remove one of the pickups so we can have a look at it. So there we go. Actual Jazzmaster wound pickups. The bobbins are not super short like a Stratocaster. That's really nice to see. The next specs follow the classic recipe. No nonsense here. Bone nut, vintage size frets, rosewood fingerboard. This one has some nice streaking in it, and a nitrocellulose finish on the back of the neck itself to match the nitrocellulose finish found on the body. The neck profile on this is a mid-60 C. It feels a little bit more fuller with more shoulder than an oval C. If you're used to playing one of those that Fender Japan and some other places that do make, it's a very, very comfortable neck carve. Let's get the measurements at the 1st and the 12th fret. 0.85 at the 1st, 0.95 at the 12th. Finally, at the headstock, not a whole lot to see here. It's not matching. However, it does use American vintage tuners. Let's get to the sound demonstrations. We're going to be plugging into the Dr. Z Plus, mic'd up by the 57, and we're going to be using the Origin Effects Halcyon for our overdrives. I've been very fortunate to have had the opportunity to play so many Japanese-made Fender Jazzmasters, from the very first ones, the JV, all the way up to modern production like this guy right here. All sorts of different pickups, styles, neck carves, and all of that. But out of all of them, out of the box, this is by far the best one, at least in my opinion. Starting off with the sounds, we finished up the demo. I figure that's a good place to start. These pickups are fantastic. They're the best Japanese-made Fender pickups that I have ever had the opportunity to try. They sound really warm, but they're articulate. I don't really have the extreme ice pickiness that I get sometimes with other sets of pickups, and what that led me to want to do when I was filming the demonstrations was leave the Halcyon Gold on the entire time, because this and that pedal were an absolute perfect match. It just kept beefing up, and it just inspired me to want to keep playing, and knowing that if I adjusted my pick attack, the combination of the high quality pickups and electronics in this guitar with that awesome Origin Effects pedal, just absolute magic. Lightning in a bottle right there. On to the actual feel of the guitar. If you're somebody who likes the mid-60s C shape, this is going to be right up your alley. The nitro finish is super smooth. I didn't get it super sticky, even when sweating a little bit playing this instrument. But what really sells it for me and separates it from something like an American Vintage 2, the nut is slightly more narrow on this. This is 41 millimeters. It is just an absolute breeze to fly up and down this neck, and I love the time that I get to spend playing this thing. As far as potential cons or things that I could see people wanting to modify on one of these guitars, the first is just accessibility. You're going to have to get one from Japan, or you're going to have to buy one used here in the United States from somebody who's already imported one of these models. This is not a guitar that you can get at Sweetwater or at a place like Thomann. So no warranty is going to be included, but in my experience, it's not really a big deal and never going to be needed because Fender Japan make really high quality stuff. The second thing is the vibrato unit. This guitar does have a lot of American hardware on it, however the vibrato is the Japanese Spec 1. If you're ever curious to know the difference, you can actually eyeball it. Out of the bridge, the angle at which the strings go into the vibrato are going to tell you which one it is. If the strings angle inward, such as on this guitar, it's a Japanese unit. If they go straight down and in, it's the American unit. Now, why would somebody want to upgrade the vibrato? It's a different feel to it, and where the arm sits a little bit different as well, and I prefer the American one. I think this one is absolutely more than serviceable enough, but I happen to have an American one lying around from an other guitar that is no longer here, so I'll probably end up swapping that myself. Outside of those two things, Big Gig Bag is better than most Fender Japan gig bags. It's not paper thin, but it's nowhere near good enough to do a guitar of this quality the justice it deserves. I feel that this should come with a nice hard shell case, and if you do get one of these, I'd recommend spending the coin on a GNG because it's what this thing deserves. That's it for today. This guitar is awesome. I love it. I hope that one day you get the opportunity to play one of these things if you're a big fan of Jazzmasters, and I hope one day Fender Japan give the Jaguar this exact same treatment. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. And don't forget to tell somebody in your life that you love, that you do love them. Life is short. Take it easy, everybody.